Hey College Success, welcome to week 9 of the semester, which means we are now officially halfway through our course. And depending on when you're watching this video, hopefully you had a good spring break or you are currently enjoying your spring break, as I did open week 9 early in case anyone just wanted to get it done slowly or head start over break. So you will see week 9 open for 2 weeks because of that, because it's open during spring break and then the traditional week 9 when we come back from break. So don't think you're going crazy or anything when you see week 9 open for 2 weeks. So because we're halfway through the semester, it's the perfect time to remind you all of your student services assignment. Remember that you need to attend a workshop before the end of the semester. It can be online, it can be in person, it can also be a student life event because they have QR codes you can check in when you're there. And then you'll just need to send me your certificate of attendance, your email confirmation that you attended, something that proves that you went, not just registered, but that you went to the workshop or the event, and you'll Dropbox it right there. Again, it's not due until the end of the semester, but you do not want to wait until the end of the semester to schedule, because by then you may not find something that is going to align with your own personal calendar. All right, so let's go ahead and I have to scroll down. We're going to jump into week 9. So week 9 is about chapter 7, about thinking, which I know sounds a little strange, but we're always thinking. And so this talks about thinking, critical thinking, creative thinking, so all different types of thinking and the roles they play in life, but college as well. So I encourage you to check out the chapter 7 lecture video, which does go over the content of the chapter so that you have a little bit of context for it. Or as always, you can check out the actual text or the slides. So interacting with the material in some way, shape, or form. So let's go ahead and look again at that preview. This is a typical week. You have a discussion board post due by Wednesday for your attendance. Respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. Again, I want to reiterate that a response is not just I agree or good job. It's a meaningful response. It's at least a complete sentence building off of or asking a question or comparing from someone else's response. You have a chapter 7 assignment and a chapter 7 quiz. So let's go ahead and take a look at our discussion prompt. So our chapter 7 discussion says some people say creativity is in the realm of children. So oftentimes creativity is kind of connected to kids, not necessarily adults. Can you think of how a child's curiosity and willingness to explore may help you understand a college discipline that is unfamiliar to you? So for instance, oftentimes curiosity, taking risks, being creative, all of those type of things are connected to kids, or even like arts, certain fields in the arts. But how can you take that same kind of approach or mindset toward a course that you're taking, whether it's a difficult course that you're taking now, courses you're anticipating taking in the future that might be difficult for you, or reflecting back on a course that was difficult and how it could have helped. So it's all about thinking about like creativity and how that can play a role, because again, creativity involves asking questions, taking risks, being curious, expanding your mind, altering perspectives. All of that is part of that. So that is what you're reflecting on for your chapter 7 discussion. Make sure you post by Wednesday and then respond to 2 classmates by Sunday. Now we're going to take a look at your chapter 7 assignment. This is going to open up into one of these PDFs that you can type right in. So as I said, chapter 7 is about thinking. One component is critical thinking and creative thinking. And so this relies a little bit more on like the creative thinking side. So it has a little scenario. It says your institution has cut funding to the library, tuning center, and the wellness center effective immediately. You know that you and your fellow students' success will suffer because you're not able to access these services. What would you do? So kind of think about what you would do. And then you're going to go through, this is where the creative thinking part comes in, and there is a list of both fictional and real life characters and people. So obviously like Bugs Bunny, Harry Potter, those are your fictional, and then everyone in between here from Oprah down to Malala are all real people. If you're not familiar with any of them, Oprah, Bill, Martin Luther King Jr., Mother Teresa, Jay-Z, Malala Yousafzai, you can definitely Google them. So that's okay to give you some context about who they are if you're not familiar. So you have an idea of what they might do in this situation. So think about what they would do. For instance, I've had students in the past say, oh, Bugs Bunny would tunnel a hole from a bank and rob it and then take it to the university. Obviously, it's not very realistic, but it's a cartoon. Or, you know, if you know about Jay-Z, something to do with songwriting. Whatever the case is, you're going to try to think like what these people in these positions would do to help this particular scenario with your institution. Then don't forget at the bottom to go ahead and make sure that you put in, of these potential solutions, what's realistic. I'm going to guess not Bugs Bunny or Harry Potter. So which one's the most realistic, and then which is the most exciting, which is kind of more fun or, you know, exciting to think about. So when you're done, as always, with a form like this, make sure you save it with your changes and then Dropbox it there. All right, and then your Chapter 7 quiz, when you pull this up, your questions are, again, please make sure you're responding in complete sentences and you're responding to all parts of the question. I'm still having some quizzes here and there that are only answered in like fragments or only answering part of the question. So question 1 talks about being open-minded. It's a characteristic of creative thinkers. Do you think you are open-minded? Do you think your open-mindedness, or maybe your lack of open-mindedness, depends on the subject? And then kind of talk about where you've had to question your open-mindedness. Question 2, our chapter talks about Mark Twain, and in there it quotes that he says there's no such thing as a new idea. So this could be like an invention, a concept, but explain and defend your answer. Do you agree with that? Do you think there really is no such thing as a new idea? Do we just recycle ideas over and over and improve upon them? Or are there still original ideas out there to be found? And then explain and defend using an example or two to support your opinion. Question 3, this semester, have you tried doing anything in a different way than you've done it before? How do you feel about even having that as a suggestion, trying something new? Explain your reaction. If you have tried doing something differently, did it work? What was the outcome? Are you sticking with it, or are you kind of reverting back? I know sometimes I'll try something new and I think it's going well, and then all of a sudden I just like, no, I'd rather go back to the old way. And sometimes I stick with it. So discuss that experience with trying new things, specifically as it relates to kind of like your academics. Question 4, can you recall a time when you had to use some logical thinking to resolve a conflict at work? And discuss the role. Now, if you don't have a job or it's been a little while since you had a conflict at work, you can certainly use maybe a family conflict, a conflict with a friend. So anytime that you've had to like do some conflict resolution and the role you played. And then finally, question 5, metacognition is mentioned in here, like the becoming aware of your thinking processes. When did you know that you were metacognitive? Do you remember when you first started to question your thoughts and conclusions about things? How has this changed over time? And discuss your experience with metacognition and how it has kind of progressed. All right, when you're done with that, you're going to make sure that you submit. Double check that you have completed your discussion post, your Chapter 7 assignment, and your Chapter 7 quiz. Again, I want to just remind you of your student services assignment. Make sure you're attending that workshop. If this is on spring break, you have a week off after to kind of slow down. Week 10 will be back open like normally scheduled. You can see kind of on mine that it'll open after the week 9 original week. But if you need anything, whether it's spring break or not, I will still be looking at my email and responding. Hope everyone has a nice break. Get some relaxation in, some fun, and I will see you back soon.